This episode is brought to you by Nordstrom. For 125 years, Nordstrom has been part of your story. The stylist who found the perfect outfit for your big interview. The first pair of walking shoes for your 1-year-old. The tomato soup you shared with your sister at the cafe. These are the moments that make Nordstrom, Nordstrom. Big or small, we're here for all of it. Celebrating 125 years with new moments still ahead. Discover it all in Nordstrom stores and at Nordstrom.com.
Low energy, unfocused, foggy? You might be dehydrated. Whether it's hot yoga, over 100-degree weather, or too much sun. Gatorlight, with a specialized blend of 5 electrolytes, was scientifically designed to help move fluids into the body faster for rapid rehydration. Shop now at retailers nationwide. Gatorlight hydrates faster than water. Is it in you? Symptoms noted are signs of mild to moderate dehydration. Consult a healthcare professional if symptoms persist.
This episode is brought to you by PayPal. You had plans for the last days of summer. And back-to-school shopping has its own plans. School supplies, dorm essentials, your list doesn't stop. Neither does the spending. But when you pay in full with PayPal, you can pay over time. No interest, no fees. Check out with PayPal and get back to summer. Subject to approval. Learn more at paypal.com/payinfor. PayPal Inc. NMLS 910457.
From the Fifth Quarter Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, you're listening to Coach Unplugged. And now, your host, Steve Collins.
Hey everybody, happy Wednesday. Episode 629. Today we're doing part 2 with practice planning. But before we jump into that, I'd like to give a big shout out to our 2 sponsors. First of all, Dr. Dish. Not only do they have 3 machines, they have 4 machines. All the machines can be outside, but they have 3 machines that are kind of built for the indoors. They have one that's a home one on the outside. Great machines. And you know what I loved about the people at Dr. Dish is they not only give back to the community, they give back to coaches. So if you go over on Instagram, you go over on Facebook, you go over on Twitter, they're always putting content out. They're always doing things to help coaches get better. Not only the Dr. Dish and how easy it is to use, but they're doing all that stuff for you as coaches. So go over, mention Coach Unplugged, they'll give you $350 off your next purchase. All but the home one. They won't do that on the home one. And also go over and check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better. I always like throwing a golden nugget into these podcasts. Once in a while, I like to do this. Just as see if people are listening. They're not fast forwarding through these. So if you're listening to this, this is going up, I believe, May 27th. If you send me an email on May 27th and say, Steve, I want the discount, okay? I want the discount for teachhoops.com. I'll give you 20% off the lifetime of your membership, your entire life of your membership. You stay 25 years, it'll be 20% off. And that price will never go up, but only today, only May 27th, will that deal be good. So you have to send me an email at steve@teachhoops.com, steve@teachhoops.com, and say, Steve, I want the discount. And I'll tell you how to do that. And 20% off for the lifetime of your membership. There's your golden nugget. All right, let's head off to the podcast.
2 hours of running. I'll never forget the next game. Guys were screaming at each other. Shot contest on the ball side. What are you doing? I am not running tomorrow. Like, because by the way, we were running at 6 a.m. You know what I mean? Like 6 a.m. run. So like these guys had to get up at 5:30 and then they had to do 138 sprints. And then we had practice later. You know what I mean? Like,
and they had to go to not an easy class. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll tell you right now, but I saw the mentality change of worrying about their offense, worrying about shot select, all that. What they were worried about were blockouts, shot contests, ball pursuits. They started and all of a sudden, win. We became the number 1 field goal percentage team in the country at 36%. Holy Cross. We played Kentucky in the first round of the NCAA tournament, and Tyshawn Prince hit a half court shot that basically beat it. We lost 72 to 68. But we were 16 seed, they were 1 seed. And I'll tell you, the kids were like doing just the effort stats. It was amazing. Right.
It's awesome.
I've seen it work.
That's awesome. Let's go back to that summary thing, and then I want to shoot some questions at you too. No problem.
So I think those are important. The effort stats. Then you always got to teach and practice the great teammate stuff. When a guy takes a dive, making sure your team's running the whole for him, they take a chance. Teach them the teammate Like, that's something I learned from Coach Moore and a couple other guys, Darren Horn. Like, he was just they're all about, like, when they do a hustle play, make sure you get excited as a coach.
Right.
And your team gets excited because you want to see them, like, positive reinforcement, like, do that again. And you want to see the kid who didn't do it say, hey, man, I better start doing that. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
So I think those are the teammate stuff, and we all know what that is: up and down on the bench, high fives to your team, emotion at the right time. Like when a good play, there's better be emotion for the right time, not for the wrong things.
Right.
Handling winning correctly, dealing with losing correctly. Those are two big components I think are important. I think the discipline, you're always going to have individual and team discipline. So how you handling that? Like, what are you doing? Like, we do 11s, we do 31s. Like, that's 11 is up and back in 11 seconds. 31 is a suicide. I give them 31 seconds to get it done. 17 is from the sideline to sideline. You got a minute and 10 seconds. You got to get 17 of them done in a minute and 10. And it kind of works out. You got to be really busting to get it done. 17. So, like how you handle your discipline when you guys do burpees, like 25 burpees, wall sits.
Are you holding them accountable is what I would tell the young, especially the younger coaches. It's like, it doesn't matter what you make them do.
Exactly.
It's just, they got to know that you did this, you do this, we're moving on.
Moving on now. Yeah, we got it. And you're going to always come across it.
Yeah.
And then, I think to teach the group mental toughness is the huge thing about that, who show the leaders.
I think that's huge too.
Toughness is, great. If you have a
great book.
Talked about, that's about the little things. And, I think that's huge.
That's Duke. Yeah.
Yeah. Energy and enthusiasm is a huge part of the winning habits, making sure your staff brings it. If you don't have that, fire the guy. It's not worth having around.
No. And the thing is, it's hard too, because sometimes I got to be picked up. I had a long day. I had a parent call. I had 85,000 tests to grade, blah, blah, blah. And I'm walking into practice and I'm only at 80. You got to have somebody that's going to pick you. All right, let's go. Like,
exactly.
It's not, you can't, it's really hard every day, but
I'll tell you. And I, when I was always the younger guy in most of the programs, but even when I was at Quinnipiac, I was a little bit older, and I had to try and be that guy all the time.
Right.
I was working for like a older guy, Ralph Willard, Tom Moore. So
right.
Like, to give my worth, it was like, I wasn't like, this ex-NBA player or whatever.
Right.
I was like, I had to be that energy guy. You know what I mean? And I'll tell you, it can be embarrassing at times, but you got to be like that all the time. So the guys believe in you, like, man, like this guy's always bringing it. You know what I mean?
Right. And they can feed off it. It's like when they start clapping, there's an energy that just comes with it. You can't, you can fake that a little bit. Yes.
And that translates every day, into like your games. I've seen it happen. Team energy, if you do that every day, your team's going to have energy on the court, because you can say, hey guys, we've been doing this every day, and that's something you can hold your hat on. And then I think finally, like you got to mirror what you do in practice.
Right.
Style of play. You know what I mean? If you're an up-tempo team, make sure you're working on that stuff, the pressing, you got to work on all those things. Like, if
you want to be fast-paced, you better work on fast-paced. I mean, it seems simple, but people forget it. Go down and click on that. We'll go to one of your practice plans in a second. Go down to the game planning one.
Sure.
So is there anything specific you do for like game planning and practice planning and things like that? I mean, how much time do you spend on scouts and stuff like that?
I had a taper. I mean, when I was at Division I, I mean, it was
your life.
All we did. That was life. I mean, I'd watch probably, 8-7 game films of the opponent, and then breaking them down, each one of them to, like breaking out all the plays, breaking out all the defenses. By the time I was done with one film, I probably watched it 100 times. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
And then I got to go to the next game film and the next game film and the next game film. So that's all we kind of did at the college level. But at the high school level, I know, like you said, the TikTok world, these kids, is going to be a short snippet. So I'd give like 3 or 4 clips of each player they're going to be playing against.
Okay.
Their top 5 or 6 players. And then their general offense, I'd watch maybe 3 or 4 minutes of their plays.
Okay.
And I'd show them about 2 or 3 minutes of either a man or in zone, just so they got a feel for them. And that's it. So it was really, maybe 8-9 minutes. And I talk to them. I show them a scout report. This one's a little bit this one I was at Division II when I showed this, but the high school one's very similar, just like this, same exact thing. You have the kid's name. There'd be a picture. I took the pictures out for this, but there'd be a picture beside it. The kid's name, what he did, how much he averaged, basically what he did.
So for individuals, you're looking for tendencies.
Exactly.
Okay.
This kid's a shooter. It always says at the end, like the keys contain, for drives, stay between him and the basket. And then I quiz the kids before the game, Like I go, all right, I always have a board and I have the box, 5 boxes, 5 starters. And I'd be like, all right, number 4, Smith, and then the other point guard, that's his point guard for that team.
Right.
I get my point guard, I say, tell me about him. You know what I mean? And he'd be like, coach, you got short clothes on him. He's a lefty. That I'm like, good job. And if a kid didn't, I'd be like, someone else know? I said, and that would embarrass the kid enough the next game that he'd know. You know what I mean?
Right. Because it's really about, I'm convinced high school is a lot about matchups. It's a lot about
without a doubt.
This kid's got, because most of them have some weaknesses.
Every one of them.
Yeah.
They all do, to be honest with you. There's not too many who don't.
Right.
So that's what we do. We do the offense characteristics, game plan, and all that, and the keys to the game. And then I'd have this basically scout report kind of like condensed on my board before pregame, up on the board. And
what do you do on your board in the pregame? That's a great question. I haven't asked me.
I put up this right here, this one. I don't know if this is gonna come up. There you go. Circle opportunity.
Okay.
And I have basically 5 starters up on the board for them, and then a couple of their subs, and I write notes about them. Like each guy.
Yep.
So I first talk about, all right, here's the 5 starters. Let's go over it, guys. Blah, 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 blah. And I say, okay, what does this team like to do offensively? They tell me, I'd be writing it down. Defensively, what do they play? Man, zone. They say it. I'm like, okay, now let's go over on our side. What's going to help us win this game? And I circle opportunity, coach. I'm like, all right, let's talk about that. Like, what's going to help us win? The ball pursuits. How many deflections do we need in this game? 40, coach. 40, coach. All right, we all going. How many guys are going to the glass? 3 going to the glass, 2 back. All right. This game was sending 4 because we can afford to send 4. They'd all know at that point. We got a shot contest, blockouts, charges. How many charges are we going to get today? Someone going to get me a charge? I would joke around. Get me 1 or 2. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to get 5 today, coach. I try to get him into it, and then we leave 1 blank because each game there might be something more specific, like a closeout or rotations are important in this game. So I'd write that in myself, and then I put down my keys of like today, whatever the key mantra is today,
Okay. I love that.
Keys.
And again, how long do you normally talk in pregame?
Probably about 15 minutes, 15 minutes. So I, get them, they go out there, they stretch, they do a little bit of warm up. They come in for about 15 minutes. I go over to them. Then they go back out for the next, they usually go back out there for 20, with about 25 or 35 left in the clock. They go out there with, and then they come back in at 7 to get their hype going. They do the old, huddle hype, coming in, getting their bouncing going for about 30 seconds, and then back out for the last 4 or 5 minutes. So
Okay. All right. So good. You can take that off. Is there anything else you want to talk about the practice planning?
No, I mean, I just think, just the monthly ones, everybody has their own monthly plan, but I think that's important to have.
You got to map it out. Grab one of your practices. Let's look at that real quick. And then I have a couple other questions.
Sure.
So, this is perfect.
I can go to this one. That's fine. Yeah. This is one I used before. So,
okay. It doesn't matter. So tell me how you break a practice down.
We start with the stretching, like we talked about, the dynamic stretch in the beginning. This one was, we did, proper form, you know what I mean? It was, we were talking about, because guys weren't doing proper form in the last one. So we do 8 minutes of like that. We started off the practice with running because the locker rooms were a mess. So
God, that must be universal.
So in this practice, we, everybody got a line because, we went in and we picked it up and, came back out, and then we started the stretching. So we kind of had to start with a little bit of negative, but yet then that never happened again.
Right.
So, that was
you fix it real quick.
Yeah. And then we do a dynamic drill that, I think gets guys going, and we do this thing called 4-minute shooting. And it's like 3 basketballs, and it's at the elbows. I don't know if you can see this, but
here, let's stop sharing your screen for a second. We'll come back to this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically the entire team would be out there, and it'd be 2 lines, one side and the other side from the elbows, just like this.
Yep.
And so it'd be just like that, and they have 3 basketballs, 1, 2, 3 on this side.
Okay.
And they'd start. This line would come to the middle, and they'd pass it to them. They take the shot.
Okay.
All right. And then they'd switch lines just like that. And then the next ball would pass to the next guy coming in from the side. And they'd pass it back to the same side. The ball would go back to the same side.
Okay.
So it would always be getting passed from this side to that side.
Yep.
All right. For 1 minute. So for 1 minute, they'd be shooting, This line would be the shooting line. This line would be a pass line for 1 minute.
Okay.
And they'd be shooting kind of like a free throw line jumper. A little bit over to the left, a little bit to the right, just getting touches, quick passes. And when you've got to go offensive rebound, go get your rebound, and then call a guy in the line's name out. Billy.
And then you go back to your same line then.
No, you go to the opposite line.
Okay.
So you get, the other guy, when you pass it, you know what I mean?
Yep.
You get the offensive rebound. You get your offensive rebound. You pass it to the guy. Yep. Then you get to that end of the line.
End of that line. Okay.
And then the other guy who pass it to you,
yep.
Would go to the end of this line. You know what I mean? And they just keep on switching lines like that for 1 minute with 3 basketballs going. So, and then you have the manager keeping a track of how many makes, like that. So you'd be yelling, and your focus as a coach is making sure guys grab a rebound and talk and call the guy's name out and pivot on their foot and not travel and run with the basketball on the court.
Right.
And, balls getting whipped everywhere. Call the guy's name out at the end of the line. Guy's hands are ready. Throw it to him. Get it in there. So we're doing that for about a minute. And then everybody would be aware, because you have 4 minutes on the clock and it's running down. And then at 3 minutes, everybody switch. And all of a sudden, this line would move down to the block. This line would stay same spot, just like that.
Okay.
And this guy's would be down in the block area, right above the block. Not inside, but it'd be above the block right there. You make the pass from here to them, and then you have to make like a backboard jump, quick backboard jump. And you'd be surprised how many misses guys make right from the block, off the backboard. Quick.
It's horrible.
But, it was quick passes. Next guy, hands up, ready, shot. Hands up. And then he'd be counting the misses from the block. 7, 8. Come on, man. Focus. Let's go. Focus. And it's going quick.
Yep.
Then all of a sudden, in a minute, would go down. They're still keeping track of the score. You know what I mean? You're going right now. Now you're at like 50, 60, 70, 71, 72. Now it's a minute, another one. Switch. Now the lines go back. Now the balls go over on this side. And they switch to the this
other direction. Yep.
Now we're going the other direction for minute 3. Going. And then switch, minute 4. This line moves down to the block, and they go for a minute here.
Okay.
And they got to get to 145. That's the minimum. And you can start changing the goal. It might be 150.
Do they get 145 early in the season?
No, and then we make them run. To be honest with you, at first I let them learn the drill, and then I'd be all right. What's our minimum? And, your minimum might be, depending on how good a shooting team you are, might be 112, 115.
Right.
You do it 2 or 3 times without not telling them what then you say, all right, listen, 3 times we've done it, we've gotten 115 and 118. Our goal is I'm not going below 115. So if we go below 115. We're running a sprint for everyone below 115.
Okay.
And
hey, everybody, I hope you're enjoying the podcast. If you are, a couple things that you can do is you can subscribe and like, and you can leave a review. I read every one of those reviews. They mean a lot to us. You could also, if you want to help us keep the lights on here, you can go over to www.teachhoops.com/Amazon, and that will go to our affiliate link for Amazon. So anytime you shop on Amazon, it won't cost you anything. Amazon goes, ooh, Coach Collins sent them there. We get a small little commission. If we get enough people to do that, it's going to allow us to pay for our hosting fees and all the things that kind of come along with doing several podcasts. So that's a way you could help us out. Also, you could help us out by going over and joining teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better. Everybody wants to be a better coach. We are here to help you become that better coach. So I hope you're enjoying this. Back to the podcast.
Then all of a sudden, for the whole rest of the year, there's your standard. 115 is your standard.
Right.
And then as a coach, now they start killing it every time you get them going. They're like, all right, I'm moving it up to 120, guys. And you start raising the back level. When we were at Holy Cross, at Quinnipiac, we were doing 160.
Okay. And do you do different shots, or you do only those 4 steps? Do you ever do?
We do those 4 quick. It's about ball movement. It's not about really the shots. It's about talking, communicate, quick passes, hands ready, getting their minds into, like, if you're not awake and you're not, and everybody at the end of the line has to be clapping. If you don't have a ball, you got to clap. So if you're not into it, like, you might get a ball off the head, you might get, you know what I mean? Like, you're not ready. The coach is screaming at you, get your hands up, ready, shot ready, turn, So now, like, it's just a drill to get everyone into practice right away. Simple drill, quick shooting, 4-minute time with a goal. Everybody's going. You know what I mean?
I love that.
Yeah, 4-minute shoot. I kind of like it. And, we've always it gets our practices really.
And it gets it moving. Okay, let's go back to the shared screen here.
Then we do the old 3-on-0 layup.
Okay.
Which, everybody does. We all know that one, right? Just three man weave. You know what I mean? Little layup. And then the 3-on-0 layup. This is 3-on-0 layup. So this is basically. I'm going to come back out of that. I'll show you.
Okay.
All right. So this is how this drill works. You'd have 3 guys, a layup line right there. We'd have and a rebounding line right here. And then everybody would fill in those 3 spots. There's the 3 spots in the court.
Okay.
So now what would happen was this guy would go for his left-handed layup coming right now.
Okay.
Right? He'd make the layup, and then as he made the layup, he takes off down the court.
Okay.
He goes. The big man steps on the court, gets the ball out of the net, goes out of bounds, and then the point guard who's here, he goes to ass to the sideline, calls for an outlet. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Outlet, ball. This guy has to clear the paint, and he's got to throw an outlet pass to the point guard. Point guard has his ass to the sideline so he doesn't get, like the old ass to the, if he turns and catches, it's going to be a charge.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So you don't want that. So the key teacher you're talking about, calling for the outlet, point guard, off the sideline, but, a good enough so you could turn either baseline, sideline, or middle.
Right.
So now he's got to be asked to the sideline. You make that pass to him here. He turns and goes and makes a chest pass, up the court, snap pass up to the court for this guy going for the layup. The big man who made the outlet has to come down and get the rebound out of the net.
Okay. Yep.
So you've got a 3-man moving at the same time. You get the point guard, you get the layup guy. So the layup guy goes, takes the shot, boom, takes off, outlet, snap, bang, here. That's 3-on-0 layup. And, boy, he comes down. Then the next group comes 3 guys going, 3-on-0 layup, 3-on-0 layup.
Yep.
And it just really teaches pushing the ball up the court, outlet,
on the side.
rebound.
I like that.
You know what I mean? It really gets you going. And then you transfer that, the same exact thing. Now when they're really good with and they come back the other way, 3-0 layup coming back the other way to your right hand, left hand. You come, when they're all down here now, we just go back the other way. And now after 3-0 layup, we do 3-0 post pass. And the 3-0 post pass is very similar, same exact situation. The guy goes for the layup here, takes, makes the layup, takes off down the court, going down the court. Big man, the same exact thing, takes out of bounds, outlet, same exact thing here. Now this is 3-0 post pass. So now you throw it up the court, and instead of going for a layup, you dribble it down to the corner and come back. Big man,
and your big man's trailing.
Sprint to rim to rim. He posts up. These 2 guys are here, and now you got to make an entry pass to the post. Pass, fake high, pass around low. Your assistant coach is standing out here with a basketball. Right here.
Yep.
You make the post. This post, big man makes his post move. The coach passes it out to one of these players, and then he penetrates and kicks out for a shot.
I like that.
Penetrate, kick out.
That trailer big thing is so hard for them to do.
Oh, I know.
Isn't it?
It's a tough. I'll tell you, we work on that a lot. And then when we have a coach stand here and as the bigs coming down, we bump him with a pad. He's got to skin off, you know what I mean, and catch it in the post.
And I'm telling you, you might run this drill for a month and they still won't be good. I mean, it just takes so long for that trailing big.
Oh, I know.
Because I don't know if they don't look.
Not clearing that paint, catch it. And if they get the mentality of sprinting, that's why they got to get the ball out of the net, sprint the court. Like the same exact thing, like post up. I want our bigs trying to beat the other big down the court.
And they don't look. I mean, I think part of that summer basketball, I hate to say it, but the game is so wide that they don't look for those guys going down unless it's going to be a tomahawk dunk. They never look for them coming down the lane anymore.
It is. I'll tell you right now, I hate to say it, but there's limited amount of big men in the country anymore. I ran a NEPSAC tournament, which is all the NEPSAC schools in New England came to my gym this past summer for the college coaches. There was 200 college coaches across the country, high level, Division I. Division II. It was a sanctioned event. It was one of the only sanctioned ones in the summer. And so we said, hey, what we're going to do for these guys? They want to see them play, but they also got to do a breakdown a little bit. So let's break them down to 3 groups: post player, wing, and point guard. So I said, all right, guys, get them all together. I said, all right, listen, everybody who's a point guard, go to court 1. Wing, go to court 2. Post player, go to court 3. You guys all set? Now, there was 250 kids.
Let me guess. Less than 10 bigs.
5 went over to court 3. 5 out of 250 went over to the big man section. It was unbelievable.
Well, and I'm telling you, part of that is college. Part of that's the NBA. Like, they're looking for Giannis. They're looking for like long, lanky Magic Johnson kind of. They're not looking for bigs anymore.
No,
the Shaquille O'Neals of the world are gone.
It's unbelievable. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, I was going over to the wings. I'm like, why don't you go over to just to get seen? There's college coaches on that court. Like,
right.
You're in a line with like 60, 70 other dudes. Why not go over there with them on 5?
I'd be like the 6-foot kid down there with the posts. It's like, look at me. Look at me.
Exactly. So, but I know it's hard to get those bigs, but if you can get a big to run the court and all that and post.
All right, let's go. Let's do the end of it in like 3 minutes because I have a couple questions I want to ask you, and I don't want to keep you all night here.
Yeah, no problem. Share screen back.
I mean, I could talk basketball all night, but there you go. Okay.
Yeah, these are 3-on-2 continuous drill, 2 teams, which I think is a fun drill. It's a continuous drill where it's basically teaching a 3-on-2 and just going up and back continuous 3-on-2s.
Yep.
That's a good one. We broke it off, did some free throws.
Yep.
If you missed, you had a penalty. Like you do a 1-on-1. I always teach our guys to take 2 free throws. After you take the first one, step off the line, take the second one, and then it's a 1-on-1. If you miss the first, you got to do something, like double. If you miss the second, you only got it. So we do 20. So if you do, if you miss the first, you do 20 burpees. If you miss the second, you only do 10 burpees.
Right.
So there's always a penalty on the free throws, teaching them like it means something. So that's not messing around. So we always take the free throws, and that's when they get their water. After you take 2 1-on-1s, you can go get a water, and we kind of give them their breaks. So there are always some water breaks in the free throws. And we go over shell drill. Teaching a shell drill, typical across the country. Everybody works on a shell. Strong, weak side cutters, that. Then we worked on switching ball screens during this practice, which is always important. What are you going to do? Switch ball screens? How are you going to play a ball screen?
I'm telling you, ball screens are the one thing that literally you don't. We're high school coaches.
How do you play? What do you play the ball screen?
I double the ball screen a lot, especially up high, because there's not a lot. I mean, and we're playing. I mean, consistently, there's a handful of D1 guys in our league. The problem is, I got to jump. I mean, otherwise you're going to turn the corner, and kids don't pass out of that well. That's my theory. Is we're going to rotate fast enough that if I come at you now, don't get me wrong. We were hedging. We were doing some other stuff late in the season. But I'm going to double you at least half. I'm going to make you think that we're coming. You said that ball screen, we're doubling the ball. I mean, go ahead and flare and roll. The guy that has the ball is not going to get it to you half the time.
Exactly, especially the high school level.
Yeah,
we've been icing it, and I've been trying to get that ice down to these guys. But it's when you commit to it, if one of the things screw up, you get really messed up.
Yeah, and here's the problem is we don't have the time to practice. Right. I mean, if I'd run that, I'd run all sorts of different types of things. If I could spend, the time to teach them.
Practice it, yeah,
we're going to do this for this team. We're going to do this for this team. Yep. But it's like we don't have time. I mean, if I had them all year round, even if I could only see them for a couple hours in the fall and the spring, I could do all that. But it's like we get shut down. I don't know.
I know it's very hard. They limit. I think they're trying to give it more back to the high school coaches lately. The NCAA is kind of like they've given us a little bit.
I have several things. I have several things I'm gonna fight for before I get done with this thing. One is the jump ball should go away. It's a stupid thing. Why do we? The officials can't even throw the ball.
No, the officials mess it up every time.
Let's just give the visiting team the ball and do alternating possession. That's my first thing. It's stupid. It's just a dumb thing. What were we just talking about?
Do you run a tap play? I run a tap play.
We do run a tap play. We've been burned on a tap play too.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead. Keep going, Coach.
Then we just do. We had this practice. We had conditioning for 4 minutes because sometimes we only have 2 baskets. So because you share the court with like the women's, the other JV. So if I don't have my 6 hoops, then I do conditioning. You know what I mean? Stations. Right. And 4 guys are taking free throws, and then we rotate. Like those 4 guys come free throws, the other guys are in conditioning. So you kind of get your conditioning in with the water because we try to be a pressing team. Then I work on press. We were working on press break during this practice and zone offense versus the 2-3 and the 1-3-1. We do this drill called Michigan State, which is I got from Michigan State. Tom Izzo, it's a phenomenal drill. Basically, you start off 2-on-1. There's 2 teams. White and blue. Blue's down the other end. He sends one guy out on defense.
Okay.
White team comes down with 2 guys.
Okay.
They got the ball. They're on offense. So now it's a 2-on-1. You're going down the court 2-on-1. play, score.
Yep.
Now we're up 2-0 white. We get back in a tandem because 2 guys on the blue come out. Now it's a 3-on-2. 3-on-2 coming back. And now it's 3 blue guys versus 2 white. They got to make the stop.
Yep.
They say they score. Now it's 2-2.
Yep.
Now the white team sends out 4.
4.
I mean, now 2 other guys come on. Now it's a 4-on-3.
Right.
Now you go down, play the 4-on-3, scramble and triangle, how to play D. All of a sudden, the shot goes up. We make it. We're up 6-4. They send 2 more guys on. Now it's a 5-on-4 going back. We're doing the box. 1 guy's open. Finally score. Now it's 6-6. Now it's a 5-on-5, the final drill.
I love that.
Awesome drill. Teams love it because it's a score. It's like, who's going to be
active
who.
too. You're active. Yeah.
Yeah. It's 2-on-1, 3-on-2, all the things that happen in practice. Phenomenal drill. Got that from Tom Izzo. And, just we do it. We did it when I was at Holy Cross. We did it when I was at Quinnipiac. We did it when I was at Western Kentucky. We did it when I was everywhere I've gone and done it. It's awesome drill. Kids love it. And then we did some defensive conditioning. I always believe that you got to teach kids to stay in stance. And so we do this slide run drill. So basically that when I said defensive conditioning, it's like you start in the corner, they slide out to the elbow, then they sprint. Then they slide to the other elbow, then they sprint to the corner. Then they're sliding the whole baseline. Same thing, slide, run, all the way up.
And the problem is the kids, kids want to stand up so much.
And we teach them slow, like board, don't come up, no bunny hopping. Try and teach that technique of not clicking your heels, short choppy steps, board between your legs, 6 inches, all that kind of stuff. And that's where you can really teach that. And it's also working on the conditioning of staying in the stance. So we talked about that, getting some water. And then this day was a scout day. So we were talking 15 minutes about the other team and what drills they did. And then we go through last 10 minutes, all our plays, dry.
Yep.
And, side out of bounds, underneath out of bounds. And then we do our post pass.
And how do you do, I see on the bottom you've got groups. Do you make them competitive and equal? Do you put your starting 5 together? How do you do that?
It varies. Earlier in the season, we do it, to be honest, we break them off like evenly. And then later on, I kind of want my 5 starters kind of working. I want the other kids to be the scout team. And I want those kids to kind of like wish they were a starter and bust their ass to try and get the starting spot. Yeah. So I kind of, as the season progresses, we kind of like have the top group and the second group, and I kind of keep them green and white,
differentiate. So let's share the screen here. Do you, if you could only do 3 things at practice, what would you do?
Oof, three things in practice. I guess it would be, I would have to do offensively. We'd be doing a lot of shooting. I think that would be important. And I would be really working on shell. I think your defensive, your half court, you have to, in order to win, you got to be able to stop someone in the half court. I think, you know what I mean?
You do.
So you gotta. So I'd probably work on shell. I think in order to win, also on the other end, you got to make shots. I don't think enough guys work on shooting like game shots, not like just stand still, like jack them up, like time and score, like game shooting drills that like really put pressure on kids and like they got elevate and make a shot like under pressure and like put them as much as you can in that. So I'd be doing competitive shooting drills, probably shell, and then since I'm a pressing coach, I've always been pressing lately. I'd work on some kind of press, like whatever it is, the diamond or black or
what do you think the hardest thing to teach is?
Hardest thing to teach, that's a really good question. I think the hardest thing to teach is teammate stuff, like getting the kids away from themselves and holding them accountable to like being a great teammate. I think that's important. And like, I don't think the kids even realize they're doing it. And like, I had a kid, every time he made a basket, he was pointing to the crowd and, like doing the whole, guns and, just making crazy stuff. And I
hit a 3. I'm running down the court. I hit a 3.
I know.
And why are you doing that?
I know. Like, getting him to believe in himself not to do that. And like, it meant something to, it was just tough. And I said, I want you, the kid would be like, why are you taking it away from me, coach? It's supposed to be celebrate. I'm like, yeah, I want you to celebrate, but wait till a timeout. Like if you make a 3 and they call a timeout and it's whatever, then I want you jumping up. I want you hugging your teammates. I want that emotion and that passion, but like not in the middle of a flow of a game.
Right.
And I think kids don't get that. They don't think about the next play enough. Like, you got to be locked in, man, like on every possession. Like every possession means something to us.
And I'm not going to defend this kid, but it's I'm married to a psychologist. Part of that is that teenage brain. Hey, everybody, I hope you enjoyed that podcast. Make sure you subscribe and like. Make sure you leave a review down below. We really do appreciate those no matter where you listen. Go over and check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better. I know you want to become a better basketball coach. And again, if maybe you're done with podcasts, you're going shopping now, go down and click on our Amazon link and do some shopping. We would really appreciate that. All right. Have a great day.
I didn't like what you said, Odin pauses, about the future. This is the love story of real Hinge couple Odin and Edward, written and read by me, Curtis Garner. Listen to the free audiobook now.
That sound could mean a lot of things. And when something's going wrong at home, the hardest part can be figuring out what the problem actually is. At Thumbtack, you can upload a voice message or a photo, and our AI-powered search will help diagnose your project. Plus, the pros we know have over 14 million 5-star reviews, so you can hire with confidence. Thumbtack, we know homes. Hire the right pro today.